the way. All right, so we have opened up the Romeo and Juliet, and we have opened up bulletin board. We took Romeo and Juliet. We duplicated the background layer, called it R&J. All right, what I want you to do is I want you to take the lasso tool, okay, and pick one of the flower petals and do your best to draw around one of those flower petals. Take that flower petal with your move tool and put it onto your bulletin board. Resize it to a size that looks good on the bulletin board. Okay, so go ahead and do that. Just freehand using the lasso tool. We're not trying to use any other lasso tool. Okay, so I've used the lasso, I've freehanded around it. I'm going to drag that onto my bulletin board. Don't worry about the fact that you've probably got a little bit more. Okay.
Why, like, magic wand was you, or no, quick selection.
We're going to go through all the different selection tools, so just. Okay, then once you've done that, name that layer. Let's name it with the tool that we used. Okay, so we used actually call it petal and then the tool. Petal lasso. Okay. Now go back to the Romeo and Juliet. Let's grab under the lasso tool. Let's grab the polygonal lasso tool. No. Yeah, just grab the polygonal lasso tool. We are going to choose the Romeo and Juliet book out of this using the polygonal. So you're going to click on a corner. Okay, I'm going to start over here. And then I'm going to pull down so I've got a straight edge. Click on the next corner. Go across. Click on a corner. Go up. Click on a corner. Go across. You'll see the circle when it meets. Click it. Take my move tool. Put that on the bulletin board. It's pretty darn big.
Nope.
Probably don't want that big of one up there. And if it covers some other stuff, that's okay. Something like that. Okay. So the polygonal works really good when you have straight sides. It doesn't work as well if you've got curved sides. Like it would have been really hard to use the polygonal lasso tool on the flower petal. Okay. All right. Back to the Romeo and Juliet. Grab the magnetic lasso. Remember that snaps too. It finds edges. Let's take this part right here.
Yeah, it isn't named though.
Oh, thank you. Yes, we need to name that new layer over here. I'm going to call it book and poly. Book poly, because I used the polygonal. Oops. I'm in the tool. Okay, back to Romeo and Juliet. How do we deselect?
Control D.
Control D to deselect. All right. I'm going to use that magnetic lasso to get around this heart. Okay. So I'm going to click here. You keep clicking and you drag and it will snap to the sides.
You don't have to click and drag, you have to click one.
Okay, let go. Take the move tool. Move it on to your bulletin board. We got a little tad bit extra, that's all right. And put the heart on your bulletin board, and we'll name that heart magnetic. Okay. Going to show you a trick with the whoops, let me do that. I'm going to show you a trick quick with the um, magnetic lasso here, or I don't know if it's a trick. Part of the tool, I'm going to deselect. If I'm doing something with magnetic lasso and I'm dragging,
No, magnetic selection.
oh, there we go. Okay, if I get out here somewhere and I'm like, oh, I didn't want to go over there, and it found that edge and it jumped, if you press the backspace key, it will get rid of the handles that it has put so far. Okay, or it'll get rid of the last handle. So if I want to get rid of all of them, I just keep pressing the backspace key, but that will get rid of them. And then I click again and it will find the edge again. Okay. So something useful to know. All right. I promised you this yesterday. This will happen once in a while. Okay. So I'm going to go in. I'm just going to actually choose this one. I'm going to zoom way the heck in on this. Okay. And I'm going to select those 2 pixels right there. Then I'm going to zoom back out. Okay. And I'm on my R&J layer. This will happen a lot. My students, I guarantee that in each one of the classes during this semester, it will happen several times. This will happen. I'm on my R&J layer. I grab my paintbrush because I want to paint right now. I'm going to get a much bigger paintbrush. I'm painting in black. And this will happen. And my students will say, it's not painting. Mr. Asmus, Photoshop is broken. Okay. Why is it not painting?
Because you have a teeny tiny bit of something selected.
Yes, because I have 2 pixels selected. I can't see the marching ants right now, but that doesn't mean there's not something selected. So the first thing I will do when I come over to help you is I will say, look at your select. Is deselect black or is it grayed out? If it is black, if it is an option that you can deselect, then you have something selected and that's the problem. Okay, so now if I click deselect, okay, deselect isn't an option now. And if I paint, it'll paint on that layer. Undo that. So remember, anytime you are working on something, if something's not quite working, my first go-to is go up to select and look to see if deselect is an option. Okay? All right, go back to your bulletin board. Okay, make a selection, or make a rectangular selection around the petal. Hold on a second.
What are you looking for?
Yeah, let's first, a little hesitant to do this, but we're going to do it anyhow. Deselect. Go to layer up here and go down to flatten image. We're going to flatten this all into one. Was that destructive or non-destructive?
Destructive.
That's like very destructive. Remember, destructive just means that you're not going to be able to make changes later on. So when you think about when you're working in Photoshop, anytime you flatten in Photoshop, so flatten puts everything onto one layer. Anytime you flatten, think first, is there another way that I could do this? because you can't come back and fix all that up. Yes.
Is there any way to flatten two specific, layers like?
They're merging. It's
Yes.
called merging.
Okay,
Yes. You can merge layers. All right. But for what we're doing, for our end results, flatten is fine, because what we're going to do is we are going to take the rectangular marquee around your pedal. Go ahead and do that. Go up to select, and you'll see something that's inverse. It's Shift Control I if you want to do it that way. You can just click inverse. That's going to select everything else.
Also on the,
Okay?
box thing. Box thing that says deselect generative go.
Top left corner.
Right here.
It's called the toolbar.
It's an option bar. I don't know what they call it in this version, honestly. I call it mostly annoying.
Selection is there.
So what I want you to do is I want you to, with the inverse selected, okay, I want you to go up to Image, Adjustment, and go to, what do I want to do? I want to do, let's do curves. Okay. And take this curve here and scoot it down so that you have just one thing highlighted there. Okay. Click OK. Deselect. Do a file. Save a copy. Okay, this was our lasso tool, so we're going to call it lasso. Save. Undo until you've got this back. Deselect. Do it with the book cover and do it with the heart, labeling the saved copies as which tool that you used. Okay.
Just a bunch of instructions.
Okay, so if you get back to here, okay, by undoing and then also deselecting, now we're going to do the same steps to Romeo and Juliet. We're going to select the inverse. Is this the select inverse button?
Yeah.
Inverse selection. Okay. And with the inverse, I'm going to go to Image, Adjustments, and Curves. Turn that curve down so it kind of highlights the one that I did. Okay. And I'm going to do a save a copy. And this was
So you change the curve.
Polygon.
just pull on the curve down. Just click on that line and from the middle and pull it down. Polygon lasso. So polygonal lasso. Save it. Okay. Going to undo again. Deselect again. Do the same thing with the heart. Inverse selection. Curves. Okay. Select copy. This was. And in my folder now, I've got my polygonal lasso, I've got my magnetic lasso, and I've got my lasso tool. So I've got my images that are going to go onto here. Okay. And you are going to put the images on there and you are going to explain what each one of these tools does up here.